Glenn Greenwald tweeted out, in 2018, when AOC was running against Joe Crowley, I interviewed her and I asked whether she thought Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer should continue in their leadership roles or be replaced, and whether she'd agitate for replacements. Here's what she said. Are you ready?
Very deep level.
So we just have a little bit of time left. Let me just ask you a couple of what I hope are quick questions. Your opponent, Congressman Crowley, has been pretty upfront about his hopes to replace Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer in the Democratic top wing of the Democratic leadership once they retire, or maybe even before that. For as long as I can remember, the Democratic Party in the House has been led by Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer. So if you are elected, will you agitate for different leaders leading the Democratic Party in the House caucus, or do you think that Pelosi and Hoyer should continue to be in those leadership positions?
No, I think that we need new leadership. I think the idea that we should have the same leadership for more than one generation is probably a mistake in American politics in general. When I think about my opponent trying to take Nancy Pelosi's seat, it's like, why? Like, what has he done? And I think that what we need to really look at and value, it goes back down to the idea of valuing fundraising and equating fundraising with leadership. And they're not the same thing. I think that we really need to start kind of changing our standards for leadership and what we define and what we respect as a party. And it's not to say that it's not to speak to Pelosi's leadership, but it's to say, what company oftentimes has the same CEO for 20 years? Or, it's very rare that happens. And what government has the same president for 20 years? And the idea that the third most powerful seat in the country should just be rotated in and out by the same two people for generations, I think is a mistake in our government. Government is...
Isn't that something? Well, I never criticized her for quickly voting for Pelosi because she had a cogent rationale. The alternative, Tim Ryan, was worse. The problem is this is her reward for supporting Pelosi, is losing a key committee seat to a rival who opposed Pelosi. So she didn't lose that committee seat because she opposed Pelosi, as a lot of people are reporting erroneously. She lost that committee seat because the person who did oppose her, vowed to vote against her, got rewarded because Nancy Pelosi needed her to vote for her. And she knows that AOC is going to vote for her anyway. AOC is going to vote for Nancy Pelosi as Speaker.
Jimmy, it's almost like Kathleen Rice used that as leverage.
As leverage. She used her vote as leverage to get that committee assignment. And that's what AOC said she was doing. She said they were using their committee assignments as they're using their leverage to get committee assignments. And then she got kicked off her committee. So she wasn't even doing that. So AOC, the next time, are you going to try to get something for your vote for Nancy Pelosi? Something up front? Are you going to be fooled again in January? Are you going to make demands for your vote? Ultimately, the Democratic Party will ignore you and take you for granted if you play the good soldier and lend your support unconditionally. You only have power and leverage if you show you're willing to subvert them. And the DC, DNC structures reward the corrupt. So show your loyalty, and then they'll at least be nice to you, but they're not even nice to you. They screw you. Here she is again. This is her own words.
Don't people realize that the most powerful position you can be in is when you are not materially attached to a position of power? If you're a one-term Congress member, so what? You can make 10 years worth of change in one term if you're not afraid.
But somehow I'm the one who's a meanie because I just want her to do what she's been saying. And she's not going to do it. Ocasio-Cortez takes direct shot at Pelosi and Schumer. The progressive star bluntly stated, "We need new leadership in the Democratic Party." That's a head fake. That's a head fake. She doesn't mean that. Pelosi's caucus unanimously nominated her last month. Unanimously. So that means AOC, the squad, everybody voted for Nancy Pelosi to be speaker again. Unanimous. That's what unanimous means, I'm pretty sure. I'm no Daniel Webster. But it's not absolutely certain she can win the speaker's gavel in the House floor vote on January 3rd. Because House Democrats unexpectedly, under Nancy Pelosi, again, lost more than a dozen seats in the November election. Their majority is now down to just single digits, meaning a handful of Democratic defectors could deny Pelosi another term leading the party. In other words, she did so painfully shitty, Nancy Pelosi, so painfully shitty, and constantly loses. She really shouldn't be leading anyone anywhere. But the Democrats don't care all that much about winning, so If Nancy Pelosi was an actress, she would be referred to as box office poison. Ocasio-Cortez, however, gave no indication that she will vote against Pelosi on the floor, even as other moderate Democrats have, and then got seats on committees because they said they weren't going to vote for her. Ocasio-Cortez, I'm voting for Mama Bear. She says, "Oh, we need new leadership," she says, "But there's no one." Well, here I think it's in the show. The hesitancy I have is that I want to make sure that if we're pointing people in a direction that we have a plan, Ocasio-Cortez says, and my concern, and this I acknowledge as a failing, as someone that we need to something that we need to sort out, is that there isn't a plan. How do we fill the vacuum? She's admitting they have no plan to use their leverage. She's admitting that the people with the power have not strategized and have no strategy. None. She's admitting it. I have a strategy. Leverage your vote to get a Medicare for all vote on the floor in the middle of a deadly pandemic. That is a strategy. That a lot of people agree with. The actual sad state of affairs is that there are folks more conservative that are willing to So she's afraid that there's going to be someone more conservative become speaker. So it's lesser of two evil voting, even for speaker. So who doesn't matter who becomes speaker? You don't have to vote for them until they meet your demands. That's the part she's leaving out. She's like, well, if I don't vote for Nancy Pelosi, we'll get someone even further right. Who cares? I want the same demand of no matter who is the speaker, or they don't get your vote and they can't become speaker. Do you understand that? The squad has all the power. Nobody can become speaker without the squad's votes. Now, there's a lot of people bending themselves into pretzels not to understand this because they're trying to kneecap this moment like Cenk Uygur is. He needs another round of corporate funding, so he's trying to kneecap this moment and tell you lies like that. Just like AOC is telling. They got the same email. Cenk got it from the same donor class. He got the email that said, we have to vote for Nancy because someone even more conservative. It doesn't matter who the speaker is. You make the same demand. You make the same demand. Doesn't matter. No one can become speaker without the squad's votes. Congressional Progressive Caucus. What is the Progressive Congressional Caucus? Well, it's a nice idea that I wish we actually had. That's what the Progressive Congressional Caucus is. It's a nice idea I wish we had. There's supposed to be 100 members of the Progressive Caucus. They should really add maybe to that description. Maybe a Congressional Progressive Caucus. Hey, AOC, Nancy Pelosi needs to go, but there's nobody to replace her yet. There's that lie. There's that lie I heard from Cenk Uygur. And I heard it from AOC. Isn't that weird? They both have the same talking points. Isn't that weird? Isn't it weird when Cenk Uygur sounds just like a politician? Isn't that weird? They have the same talking points. It is weird. But completely expected, isn't it, after you take $20 million in Clinton donor cash, and now you're sabotaging the progressive movement? Pelosi needs to go, but there's nobody to replace her yet, says AOC. Check my notes. Really? Well, there's Pramila Jayapal, Rashid Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Katie Porter, Ro Khanna, Mark Polk. There's a lot of people. Yet, is the battle cry of the Democrats, we need health care, but not yet? Is that their battle cry? We need health care, but not yet. Is that their battle cry? We need health care, but not yet. I just got another email from the Young Turks begging me for money. I swear to God. They're very close to their goal. That's the Young Turks' high-pressure campaign, to get poor people to give them money. Not pressuring the government to give us health care, but to get poor people to give the Young Turks money. That's their high-pressure campaign that Cenk Uygur is currently running. I'm getting 4 to 5 emails a week from them. That's their high-pressure campaign. My high-pressure campaign is try to make the progressives that we elected get us Medicare for all. I guess the Young Turks want to say, we got to demand Medicare for all, but not now. Let's not demand it now. Not until we get some more cash. We need to do something about climate change, but not yet. We need living wages, but not yet. We need to end the wars, but not yet. You should be able to go to college without going into debt, but not yet. We have to keep waiting. No more waiting. There's their numbers. Pramila Jayapal. Go to forcetovote.org and sign the petition. Please do that. Go to forcetovote.org, sign the petition. There's their numbers. Pramila Jayapal. Mark Pocan, 202-225-3106. Mark Pocan, 202-225-2906. Rashid Tlaib, 202-225-5126. Ayanna Presley, 202-225-5111. Ilhan Omar, 202-225-4755. Forcetovote.org. Go there and sign. Call your legislators. Make sure they know you want Medicare for all as a vote. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.